Okay, so we have 3 different kinds of chickens. We have the easy chicken, we have the medium chicken, and the hard chicken. This one's just got a little bit more detail, and there's gonna be a little bit more wiggle lines, and so if you're not completely confident, this one does have some wiggle lines in it too, but if you're not confident in being like a loose drawer, it might just be easy to start with the easy chicken. So we're just gonna go through step by step, and I'm gonna see how William does, and hopefully I make these instructions pretty clear that you are comfortable doing this chicken. So I'm gonna take my paper and just show you the chickens up close. So there's my easy, medium, and hard chicken. And I'm gonna turn them this way, just so I can go step by step. Okay, so let's start with chicken number 1. You got your pencil ready?
Yep.
And we're gonna draw 3 chickens here, so.
So, am I gonna use like the whole page, or am I just supposed to use it like that size?
You can make just a small chicken. So actually, that's a really good question. So our composition is the scream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember what the picture looked like?
No.
Okay. Well, I did one with a raven on it, and it has like, it has the foreground, middle ground, and background of the actual piece of artwork. So if I were you, if you were going to draw this chicken and then incorporate the background into it, I would probably I drew my raven right in the center, just because of the way he's positioned and standing, but our chickens are gonna be standing straight up. So I might take my paper and I would, put him, maybe put your hand, can you put your hand on top of that? I would put my chicken right here. So William's got his hand on the left hand, bottom left hand corner of my paper. Okay, and I would leave all of this clear for your background and your middle ground and parts of your foreground. But yes, so your chicken, if you're gonna draw your chicken, you can do some practice chickens too before you draw on your final composition. But you're gonna put your chicken, if you're gonna draw it straight on your paper, just put your chicken in the bottom left-hand corner and just spread your hand out just like we are. And then, so wherever that hand is, the top of your hand, that's where the top of the chicken should start, okay? Good question. All right, so I am going to place my chicken. And parents, it might just be easy for you to take a pencil and draw a target so you can see the quadrants of your paper. Okay, so all I did was make a line this way, and I have these rulers out too, so if you really want to get, crafty but precise with your measurements, you could just do that and draw your chicken in the bottom left-hand quadrant of your paper. But you do that. It's just so we can see if you've got the skills that pay the bills. Okay, so divide your paper into quadrants. A quadrant is in half.
Is this about equal?
It's about equal.
Yeah, I think. So where do I start, up
Right
here or down
Yep,
there?
you're using your straight edge or ruler to just make a line go straight across. Now remember, when I hold my ruler, I hold it right in the center and I spread my fingers out so I know it's not going to slide around. And you don't need to make a dark line, Will, just a light line. This is just supposed to be a guideline for you. The other thing you could do is, if you wanted to make quadrants on a page, is you could take your paper. So for example, these are my notes for class, but you could take your paper and you could fold it in half like that, and then in half again. And I don't make heavy dark lines, but now I've got an idea where my fold lines are, where the quadrants of my page are. So that's another way to do it if you don't want to put marks on it. Go ahead, do one more, break this bad boy up into 4 equal parts. And then we'll start step by step with easy chicken first. Hold it. Yep. And just a light line. I would do it on this side so you don't have to come, that'd be really hard to get in there. So I would take my pencil and I would come up here.
Okay.
Start from the top and lightly, just make a line. Could be super quick too, it doesn't have to be precise. Good. nice.
A little bump right there.
It doesn't matter. It's just a guideline. Okay, so let's start with easy chicken, okay? Easy chicken, we are going to, get my guy.
So am I going to put like the easy chicken in one of these boxes?
So remember, let's put him here.
Okay.
Because the rest of this is going to be your foreground and background.
What about the medium chicken?
We'll just do this on another page, okay? So yeah, you guys can do all kinds of birds, and you can make all kinds of different scream compositions. It doesn't need to be a bird either. You can make it, I thought I'm doing like a moose or a caribou, like just with this shocked look. And so use your creativity. I always stick with Alaskan themes just because we're Alaskan. But okay, so step one, now remember, we want our chicken to take up this quadrant of this page. So let's make our drawings big enough that they fill this area, okay? So let's start with step one. We're going to draw the eye, the first eye. So make a circle.
About that big?
Looks good.
I think I should make it a bit.
Are you ready for step two?
Yep.
All right, step two. So I'm gonna make my second eye, just so if I took my finger and I put it right here, I'm just gonna make my second eye just spaced that far apart, kind of right below it.
Right here?
Yeah, off into, it's almost like, so if my finger's right here, I'm just gonna take my finger away and I'm gonna draw it almost diagonally. Yep, perfect. Okay. Now, if you make your eyes too spaced apart, his is really gonna look funny. So I would say even make them just a teeny bit closer together.
I wouldn't mind a funny chicken, but okay.
Yeah, you do you. I mean, you do you. You make your lines and your chicken head however you want. Okay, and now we're gonna put pupils in there. This is like the rubber chicken. I love the rubber chicken. Let's see if you can see that better. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to draw the comb, okay? So you know what a comb of a chicken is?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is probably the trickiest part of this drawing, just because we're making the comb is a bunch of curvy lines, kind of like we did with the rooster for Picasso. So watch me first, but you're just drawing this big curvy line, and then little curvy line, and then a smaller curvy line, and then it stops right probably about middle of the eye. Okay, so I start the line at the 3 o'clock position on the upper eye. You know where 3 o'clock is? Yeah. On a clock. And then you're just kind of making this curvy line, almost like it looks like a wave, right? And it's gonna stop right at the 3 o'clock position on the second eye.
Like that?
Yeah, just like that. Okay, and then the next step is we're gonna bridge the two eyes together to make the top of the head. So just like that. You're just making a line from one eye to the next.
I can already see the funniness.
You can already see the funniness. I know, and everybody's gonna have a different funniness because everybody draws a little bit different. And maybe, hopefully you can see William's drawing, but when he's done, he can go over it with black Sharpie so you can all see it. So the second step is drawing the banana, okay? The banana is the beak, and it's like, he's screaming, right? So he's open, right? So this is the banana. So all I'm doing is I'm starting my pen, I'm taking my pen and I'm going to the 9 o'clock position of this eye here on the left, right? So here, I'm starting here, and I'm just gonna make a C shape, just like that, okay? That's the first side of my moon, banana, or backwards C, okay? Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna take our marker and we're going to complete the banana. Or make it a full moon. There you go. Nice. Okay, so now what do we need to do? We need to connect his mouth to his eye, right? So we're gonna make the head shape. Good. And then we're going to kind of bring the head down here because we're gonna start making the neck and the body.
So about down here?
Yep, right about down there. Okay, so now we're gonna make this neck. Now, to make the chicken's neck, we're gonna start the neckline probably about, you could probably start, I'd say like look here's half of the banana here.
Yeah.
Maybe stick your finger, like put your finger right in the middle of the banana. Take your finger off to the side so you can see. And then we're gonna put our pen like right next to our finger, okay? That's gonna mark our spot where the neck is gonna start.
Right here?
Right here, look. You see my finger? It's placed here. And then the pen is right below my finger.
Oh.
Not right here, like I'd say, right here.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, so right here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this neck shape, right? So the neck goes like this, and then the body kind of makes this pear shape, right? And then this side of the neck is gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna complete the pear, okay? So now you can see we're starting to get this chicken body, right? Kind of fun. Silly chicken. Okay, so we learned from Picasso, right, that chickens have tongues. I'm gonna put my tongue in there just because, why not?
So I see over here you did like a squiggly line, but unlike that one, so, like, do we have to make it just one line and not 3D?
You can make it 3D shaped, you can make it 2D shaped, you can just do whatever you want to do to make your tongue. You don't have to put a tongue in there if you don't want to.
It brings out the funniness.
It kind of does. That's what I think. Your chicken looks hysterical. Okay, so what we want to do now, we want to make those chicken legs. And these are going to be super simple chicken legs. So all you need to do is make a straight line. We're going to start at the bottom of our pear. I would put my finger, for my youngsters, I would put my finger right in the middle of the bottom of the pear. Yep, and I would start my marker on this side. And I kind of just make a straight line down and then one in the middle for the legs. Yep, so put your finger here. And so you can mark, because chicken legs are just scrawny little chicken legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just gonna kind of use your finger as a placeholder. And then you can make your other side of your legs too if you want. I did mine so my chicken legs were together. Just because for some reason, every time I look at this, I think of the rubber chickens that we, like a rubber chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And so I make my legs kind of look like the rubber chicken legs. So,
okay.
But you make yours however you want to make your chicken legs. Usually chicken legs are like spindly, twiggy things with, you know, big claw feet, right?
So I can see how you're going out, but I'm going to go in.
You go in. Yep, I have mine kind of tapered in so they're wider at the base of the body and then narrower down at the feet. And then I put a line straight in the middle.
Oh, so you are going in.
Yeah. Okay, so the next part is, you know, the Scream guy, he's got his hands up around his face. So I'm going to put my my chicken arms up in the air. So here we're going to make some angle lines. So we're going to look at our pear shape here, and I'm going to start the top of my wing, probably about, you know, a quarter of the way down. So maybe like there's two of my finger lengths, right? And so we're just going to make a series of angle lines.
So like right here or right here?
Well, what's halfway?
About right here.
Okay, so what's a quarter of the way?
Right here.
Well, here's half.
Mm-hmm.
What's a quarter? Quarter would be half of a half, right?
Yeah.
So maybe right about here. Yeah, and then you're just going to make the angle lines.
And is it kind of like the comb, but not as curvy, like where you do one big line, then smaller and smaller?
Yep. So the comb is curvy lines, and it's like a big one, and then it gets smaller, smaller, smaller. And then the wings are the same thing, but they're angle lines. So remember, we use our 5 elements of shape. They're curvy lines, straight lines, circles, dots, and angle lines.
Like this?
Okay. Yeah, that looks good. And then you're going to do it on the exact same side, or on the opposite side, sorry. Do the exact same thing. So now my chicken has got his arms up in the air. And I'm also going to make a tail. And you can put the, if you wanted to make it a rooster, you can do that.
But are we just gonna make it chickens?
You could do whatever. So I love your chicken. That is a fantastic chicken. Okay, so now color that guy in.
I want to see if I like it with the gobble.
With the gobbler? I like it. What do you think?
It looks like an extra tongue.
Looks like an extra tongue. Okay. Okay, so now if I was to use this drawing as part of my composition, the next step you're gonna do, parents, is you got this line. Get your kids set up with the, that horizon line. We talked about this as the point of infinity when we were talking about 1 point perspective. So if you wanted to make this chicken your composition, then you'd put your vanishing point over here, far off to the left of that horizon line, okay? And that's about where you're gonna start your bridge, because in the painting of the Scream, there was a bridge with railings, right? So you take your Sharpie marker and you just start making your bridge. You take your ruler, or straight edge is going to stay at the vanishing point, right? And you're just going to move the ruler down. So there's my top of my railing, right? So I don't know if you can see this or not, but you can decorate your railing however you want the railing post. I'm gonna keep going down on mine because I want 3 rungs or bars on my railing. And you'll see it here come together as I start filling in. It's kind of hard to see. There's my, so we need 1 more. One more rung. Is that what it's called? A rung? It's a rung of a ladder. I don't know what this is called. Railing. Okay, so now I've got 3 railings, and then I also want to put like a post in between. So this is when you want it to be perpendicular to the line, right? Or it's...
Okay, yeah. So am I gonna color this in before I do the railing?
No. You're gonna get all of your things drawn in first, all of your railing parts drawn in first, and then you can color everything all at once, okay? So this is, so can you see that this is like a railing like a deck railing or a bridge railing? And I'll bring this picture up close. You could see how the composition is there. For my young kids, I wouldn't use the straight edge or ruler. You can just use line, just freehand. So we'll just freehand, or if you want to use it, you can go ahead and use it. But basically what we're doing with this is we're drawing that vanishing point. Do you remember when we did the Van Gogh bedroom scene? And I'll go get that. I'll show you an example. But
I never got to finish it though.
You didn't finish it. Okay. So you're taking your marker and you're just creating that railing. And this is an example of 1 point perspective, okay?
Okay.
So we're using some of the things that we learned earlier in our classes to do what we're doing today.
And then 1 more line like down here.
Yeah, so the trick is when you're trying to create perspective on something, is that, this is your vanishing point.
Yeah.
So do you know what a vanishing point is? It's like the point of infinity. So if you were to look at the horizon, do you know what a horizon is?
No.
It's like a part of the sky where the sun sets, right? So if the sun was, say this is my horizon line,
Yeah.
and the sun was setting, maybe the sun was setting here, or the sun, but I would say like here, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just the point of where the sun goes below the sky, right? And it goes away. So we don't see it anymore after a point. But here's my point of infinity, right? That's the best way I can describe it. But so if we're gonna draw a railing, our railing.
That's too close.
Nope, it's okay because and this is a really hard concept to understand. But if you were standing right here next to this railing and you were looking back into the distance, off into the distance, don't things get smaller? Right? Kind of like if you were looking at a bunch of mountain ranges, wouldn't your mountain ranges get smaller and smaller and smaller as they get farther out into space?
Yeah.
So this is a similar concept. So if you were standing right here next to the front of this railing up in the front, that railing or bridge railing is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller off into the distance. So you're creating this illusion on paper. It's like learning how to draw three-dimensionally instead of two-dimensionally. It's a really hard thing to do and to understand, especially for youngsters. So for my kindergarten kiddos, you know, draw your chickens and then just create your foreground and background like Edward Munch's The Scream. And I will show you how to do that here in just a second. I'm going to let William complete his railing. Okay, so before we move on to the next part of our lesson, I just want to go over the other two chicken styles to draw. And the next one is a medium difficulty. So I'd say probably like for my second and fourth graders, you could probably just do this chicken, and it's really funny. Again, make sure like when you use your big piece of paper, you're drawing your chicken in the bottom left-hand quadrant of your paper and your composition. I'm going to use this whole paper just so you can see it because it's kind of small, but this is how you draw the second chicken. So step one, I'm going to draw those eyes. Here's the first one. It's like an egg shape. And then right next to that one, I'm going to just make an egg that's on its side, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to put the pupil in. So right off the bat, you can see we've got a goofy looking chicken. Okay, third step is we're going to draw that comb. I'm going to extend it out over here. So there's the comb of the chicken. All right, this is pretty easy. It's not that hard. So you're going to take your marker and create like this V shape on both sides. So you want this V point right here, okay? This is like the beak of the chicken. Okay, and so for the next part, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this line just like that, okay? And then, so you're making another V shape underneath this V shape, okay? Hope that's not too confusing for you. And then I wanna make like the tongue. So you can color that in black. So now you can see this chicken has his mouth open and he's kind of like squawking, it looks like to me, or he's screaming. It's his little scream. Okay, and so the rest of this is really simple. So you're just gonna draw the neck, nice skinny neck, and then that body. I like a bulbous body on this chicken. I think he's funny. And then just bring it all the way down. Now you can go off the page with the legs just like that. That's how I'm gonna do my guy. Or you can go ahead and choose to draw your spindly chicken legs on the paper or on the composition, but you can decide that. So we are missing, what are we missing? We're missing the squiggly lines and the tail feathers, and he's gotta have his hands up right behind his cheeks. Okay, so that part, what we're gonna do is, okay, so the next part we're gonna do is we're gonna put the chicken's hands or feathers up around his face like he's like the scream, you know. So what we wanna do is we're just gonna make 1, 2, 3, 4, here's your 5th one, feathers here, right? And then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And here's his elbow, and here goes there. That doesn't look great, but hey, we all make mistakes, right? And then up here, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's his little wings. And we're gonna put that wiggle lines here, and here's his elbow, right? Okay, so now he looks kind of like he's, I don't know, I probably need to do that again for you because that was pretty quick. And I would just maybe make these wiggle lines too, so your chicken doesn't look like he's half wiggly, half not. I just think it looks like feathers. But let's see, what do you think? Okay, so there's a good chicken. And I think what we need to do is add some tail feathers too. Sit there. So now we've got a silly chicken. And you can go ahead and paint this guy, the comb, red. I use markers. I just think markers look good, but you can use whatever you want. Crayon, pastel. Paint. Use the tools that you have at home. You don't have to use anything. You can just use black and white. That's what I did for the raven. So. All right, so that was pretty easy. It's a medium in difficulty, I'd say. Let me just go over the steps one more time. Just use the back of my paper. Okay. Step 1, egg. Step 2, egg turned on its side. Step 3, the pupils. Step 4, the comb. Step 5, we're going to make that beak, right? Okay, and then this part here is just like, I want to say describe it as like the bottom shape of a heart. Okay, so you're just making like a V shape, right? So the beak looks like it's open, and then I put that other V, that angle line, you know, off to the side of the front of the beak, okay? And then color it black. You can use cross hatching too. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. Solid is what I mean. Okay, and then after that, we're going to come down to the body and make that neck. So that neck is just 2 lines on either side of the open mouth. And that's where you're gonna come out. And you can do your wiggle lines. We just wanna draw that chicken body. So, and a chicken is like bulbous body on the bottom part, right? And then his hands go up like he's grasping his head, right? And that's just 1 angle line, 2 angle lines, 3 angle lines, 4 angle lines. So, and then it comes down here, right? His arm, and make an elbow. Let's give him an elbow. So it looks like it's a bent, like he's bent. He's got his elbows bent and wrapped around his head. And then same thing up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's his other chicken wing. And then just wiggle lines. Elbow. So it kind of looks like he's grasping his face. What else could we missing? I think if we wanted to, we can make the rooster. The rooster has the comb. Then he also might have some of these red jowl things that come down. The wattle, is that what it's called? This is the comb. I think it's called a wattle. You can color in that beak. These are washable. No, that's a color wonder marker. Let me get my yellow Sharpie. Let's use this one. That doesn't work either. I really need to do something with my marker situation. Make him look deranged here. He's got bloodshot eyes. Looks like he stayed up too late. the big bucket of okay. So I did this other thing in the last video, and actually my son did something too, which was pretty cool. I saw him do to kind of give the body a little bit more texture. He used a white pastel, and he also used some, let's see, he colored it white, but kind of erratically colored it white. So you can't see the white, right? But if I then go back over it with black marker and some water, black washable marker and some water on it, you can just make the color bleed, the little black marker bleed a bit. Here, I'll show you. It's going to be fun. Let's see. Ew. Maybe use these two. We could use gray pencil. Yeah, that's kind of fun. So I'm just giving him feathers or texture so he looks ruffly. And then let's do this. There's that color wonder again. And I really want yellow in here. I found a washable marker. This is washable? It might not be. There you have it. Crazy chicken. That's the medium difficulty chicken. I like it. So let's go and do the harder chicken. This one's a lot of fun. I'm gonna use my black marker, but this is the one I did in the final. So pay attention. So we're gonna do this step by step, okay? So you wanna make the eyes. I'm gonna take this guy right about here on my page. But remember, when you're doing this on your final composition, you wanna have, you're gonna draw that chicken in the bottom left-hand quadrant of your composition so you can fit the entire background, middle ground, foreground in it so that it'll encompass your bridge and your decking planks and your, the lake and the sky and whatever's in the foreground here. So, but I'm going to use, just for the purposes of teaching you how to draw this thing, I'm just going to use this whole page, okay? So first step is you're going to make 2 ovals. They're spaced pretty far apart, like maybe 2 finger lengths, okay? And then you're going to make a C, backwards C shape. And it's just going to go below the oval and beyond it, just like this. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3, let's get those pupils in here. So now we've got the comb, okay? Now let's bridge the nose where the beak is, right? So this is where the beak is going to go. And we're just going to make a V for the beak, okay? So there's your beak right there. Okay, so now we're going to come down here and we're going to make this the bottom part of his beak, right? So it's just another V like that, okay? So to make it nice and dark, like we got the mouth open, we're going to repeat that V again. And this is all going to be black, okay? So this is like the inside of the chicken's mouth. This is one of those chickens that have like crazy feathers on the top of their head. They're like, I don't know the breed or species or whatever breed of the chicken. I'll have to look it up. But there is the chicken's open mouth, okay? Now we're gonna make the comb. And that is just like bunny ears. Okay, it's the best way I can describe that, okay? And now for the, I want to say this is a wattle, but let's see. This is the part that kind of hangs down in the front that's red on this bird. So you're going to do that. Okay, it's red. We'll color it in there. Okay, and then the rest of it is just the crazy hair in the body. It's really not that difficult, right? So lots of wiggle lines. I love wiggle lines. That's how we did the Great Wave of Kanagawa. We used wiggle lines in that one. And then we got the breast wiggle, and I'm just doing this in layers. And then we got the rest of the body out this way. Okay, and now the last part is we're going to just draw that crazy hair. So there's just lots of wiggle lines. This is why it's hard, is because it's kind of hard to visualize in your head what it's going to look like until, you know, it's actually on the paper, right? And then you can take the wings. In my final composition, I made the wings splayed out. So you can do that too. It almost looks like a parakeet or parrot. But there's my wings, and there's a tail feather too. Okay? So that is the hard chicken. Just for visual, this is red on this bird. You can make it orange. I love these markers. These are so awesome. If you guys get a chance to go to Michael's when it reopens, these are Tombow markers, and I think Prismacolors are really awesome too. They're pricey. I think these Tombow markers are a little less expensive, and they work really nicely, and they last a really long time. It's almost like using a marker, you know, a paintbrush, because the point of this is like super sharp and thin, and then on this side you got like even thinner. So there's 2 sides to this marker. And then they also come with like an alcohol pen, and you can blend the color with the alcohol pen, and it's really fabulous. Okay, this part is red as well. And you might have to rewind this a couple times just to, if you're doing the difficult one. And then for visual, I want to use yellow. Ooh, it's making orange. So it's mixing with my red, which is really beautiful. Happy accident. Okay. Shazam! There is the most difficult chicken, which is really not that difficult. Okay, I hope you guys have fun. And I went from, I'm just doing a couple different ones. So this one I did pen and ink with the raven, my cheeky raven. And then this one is the hard chicken. And then these guys, this one was my easy chicken, which I think is so cute. That's the one William's working on. But I had 3 different kinds. Oh, we have the medium size, the medium chicken too. I forgot it, the medium in difficulty, which is, I'll have to do a tutorial on just that. But I want to go through the background. So.
Wait, do I need to color this up now?
No. So the rest of this is just we're gonna put in the middle ground and the lake, and then the middle ground here, and then the background. And these are just lines, just like he did. So you can use crayon or you can use oil pastel just to do these lines, and it's pretty simple. So if we look at the actual painting, you can see like where the vanishing point is, where the sun sets, right? It's like nature was screaming at me. And he does this, he draws his sky up here, and all this is just lines.
Why was he screaming?
Nature was screaming at him, is what he said, because the sun was so red, like the sunset was so bright that he said nature was screaming at him. So use your crayon or oil pastel, and all we're doing is creating these lines.
I was thinking of making like a beach background, or would that not work?
Well, this is sort of a beach background, because the next part, right after you get your lines put in, go ahead and do that with your...
But do we have to copy that background?
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm copying this background because I want it to look like the scream. So that's what I'm doing.
Do I have to make it look like the screen?
Yeah, do it. Unless I don't want it to look like the screen. We've got the bridge in. You can do your sunset however you want. I'm going to put in my... Oops, it just broke my crayon. I'm going to put in my lake background.
my friends used to break my crayons.
Okay, so there's my lake. And there's different color blues in here, but he kind of follows the same pattern. These lines are just painted in, and I think I'm looking at the tempera on board. So if you want to do this like watercolor resist pattern, you would use either oil pastels or crayon. And then you can fill in the color with paint or watercolor even. I just don't like watercolor on this paper as much as I like it on watercolor paper. But you could do what I did here, which is, it comes out really pretty, is just use like washable marker, and then you just start like coloring it in, right? These markers are so old.
But they still work?
They do, they still work. But what's nice about them is, you can take the marker and you put the color on, and then you just take a wet paintbrush, and it almost makes them like a watercolor. And then the oil pastel will resist the water, and you can just drag it.
What does resist mean?
Resist means like it
keeps it in.
Keeps it away, like so it won't cover. Like this paint won't cover or go over top of this line. So just
the chicken?
like the outlines, and
What about the chicken?
you can choose to put the yellow maybe on the beak or the legs or something. I'll start with the black on mine. I'm gonna go and do.
Do you have another black puffy paint?
I don't, but we can share.
Okay.
As soon as I'm done with this part, you can have it. And I just like to outline. I'm a big outliner. I think it really makes a difference in a composition. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my style. But remember, start at the top and work your way down. So anything that you want done up here, you should, are on this side of the page do, because otherwise it's gonna get all over your sleeves.